Hello, this is Peter Bell, and I'm here with Mr. Mike Blady from Golden Ridge Resources. Hello, Mike.
Hi, Peter. How are you doing today?
Very well, thanks. It's June 25th, and I gather the company has some significant news. Congratulations on getting those permits.
Thanks, Peter. It was a bit of a trying experience this year, but now we have secured our 5-year area-based drill permits, and we'll be starting work later this week at the Hank, our flagship property.
Yeah, the Hank, great. Not super familiar with the details of it myself, but the bits and pieces that I've seen, I've been impressed by. I love to see juniors picking up crumbs or whole pieces of bread maybe left behind by the majors along the way there. But first, maybe just to ask about that, the 5-year area-based authorization for up to 60 holes. That sounds like good news for people who've been waiting pretty apprehensively, I think, for some of this permits.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely good news, and permits we applied in January this year, and they took slightly longer than we would have hoped, but we have a really good permitting team, and we were able to secure them. And just to clarify, it's not 60 holes; it's 60 pad locations, and then we can drill multiple holes from each pad. So
Ah,
we could really pull a lot of meters from this permit. So we're looking
that's
forward to getting
wonderful.
started here.
That's a very important distinction. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, no worries.
Jeez. And how to situate ourselves here, maybe that camp that's also mentioned, is that something that it says that it's construction is commenced. Have you used that site before as a staging area or anything like that?
So we have used it as a staging area. We've only spent 1 year on the property actually drilling it, and that was last year. Last year we camped at Bob Quinn Airstrip, which is about 35 kilometers to the southeast. We did our staging for drilling from Barrage. This year we've moved the entire camp. Well, we haven't moved the camp. We've constructed a brand new camp there at Barrage. And this will significantly reduce our ferry time and our helicopter expenditure per meter. So last year we were one of the cheapest all-in Golden Triangle Explorers. We were about $320 to $325 a meter for heli access drill program. This year with our new camp, better location, we're hoping to be sub $300 per meter as
Good.
we'll be bringing in a second rig.
Yep, good. And I saw $4 million cash in the presentation from August mentioned there, and a target 8,000 meters planned. So, $300 per meter, 8,000 meters there. That
Yeah,
is that.
about 2.4 million bucks. Our budget, we're doing a firm 6,000 meters.
Yep.
That'll get us kind of into the areas we need to go into. Now, if any of these areas kind of take off and we have success, which I believe we will expand the drill program as needed. One of the exciting things is this year we winterized the drill on the property. It's currently sitting on the Williams Zone, and the Williams Zone is our new copper gold porphyry discovery that we made last summer, prospecting the property while we were drilling the lower alteration and upper alteration zones, which are epithermal targets on the property. So
Right.
hopefully we found kind of the porphyritic root of the system that's kind of feeding this vast multi-kilometer long epithermal system.
Yeah, I saw mention of that on the bottom of slide 3 there, just before the information about the cache and the drill plan. Discovery of a new 400-meter copper gold porphyry target. That's, that must have people pretty excited.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Even though there hasn't been a drill hole in it, just the kind of representative samples we've taken from the zone, the in situ bedrock samples, once we stripped the area after we made the discovery. All of them are running significant copper numbers between, 0.5% copper to 1.5% copper, and between kind of 0.75 and 2 grams gold. So if there's any depth to this system, and it looks like we are kind of at the top of it, this could be a significant discovery in the Golden Triangle.
And that's the 25-meter line spacing ground magnetic survey with some trenching.
Correct, exactly. So we did an airborne mag survey several years ago when we first started working on this property. The Williams zone came back as kind of a single point mag anomaly because the line spacing was 200 meters. So if you can imagine a 400 meter bullseye in between two 200 meter spaced lines would potentially represent a single point on that anomaly. So the following year we followed it up. We did some soil samples and we had some very good copper in soil numbers, 0.5% or more copper in soils, which is very unique for the Hank because nowhere else on the project there's any copper in any of the soil samples, and basically the entire property, except for this location, has kind of been soil. So once we had that data, last year we came back, we did a high resolution ground magnetic survey and defined a very nice bullseye mag anomaly with some nice, what looked to be magnetite destruction. We went in there. It was deep in the forest, the thickest forest and trees on the property. And it was basically a hidden target. Once we got in there, we stripped the couple feet of overburden on the forest floor and exposed this potassic altered brecciated copper gold porphyry showing.
And I see 2018 drill plan on the Williams zone, a few holes there, marking kind of a fence across it with the rock samples and everything. Looks good. This is and is that where the drill was winterized? Was it right in that area?
Correct. So the yellow dot represents
That's
the
right.
first pad.
Yep.
And those other 3 green dots are also pads on the Williams zone. So from those pads, we can do multiple holes. So don't get fooled if we drill 3, 4, 5 holes from each pad as we are successful.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for that. Like, some people will take you to task for prospecting with the drill bit or something like that, but I don't. If you're in the ballpark, you have these layers of data to say, hey, there's something here. The orientation, the ability to kind of poke out in a few directions there. I'm supportive of that for you guys.
Yeah, and it just adds more fuel to the fire. It increases our probability of success, right? Every additional layer, every additional study we can do and verify the data we've got bodes well for our shareholders, as that money is in my mind, it's better spent with every additional confirmation of what we're looking for. So right now we have done as much as we can, and the important thing now is to get some drill holes in it.
Yep.
I love the kind of mag destruction feature that runs through the center of that kind of 400 diameter bullseye. So does our petrologist who analyzed all of our rock samples and made thin sections. So does our QP. So the whole team is very excited to get in there and start drilling this target probably within the next 5 to 7 days. So on our end, we're extremely excited to start pulling core of the ground, because unlike the epithermal targets on our project, basically we will instantly have visual verification that we're in mineralization and can fairly accurately predict the grade just from looking at the core and logging the core.
Yeah, these porphyries, when you get the experts who know what these things look like, and you know when you're in them, they know, right? All that stuff you're saying. Yeah, that's and for you to be
Exactly.
getting ready to drill it in a matter of days here. Any thoughts on what kind of information you might release on the backside of those holes? Pictures versus assays, possible scheduling timelines that people might be chomping at the bit for information.
Yeah, so we're planning to release some photos of the core as we embark on our 2018 drill plan. There'll obviously be a lot more informative from places like the Williams Zone than, say, from the lower alteration zone, which we drilled last year. And unfortunately, with the lower alteration zone, it's so clay altered that once you pull the core up, everything kind of looks the same, and we can't really get a really good gauge on how much gold or silver or other precious metals are there until we assay it. So the Williams Zone is a completely different animal, and we're planning to photograph the core as we always do, but to release some of these photos as we proceed. Now, a unique thing we're doing this year for our assay program and the company we're working with, we've kind of prepaid for a lot of our assays, the majority of our assays for the year. So we have a preferred service at the lab. So we have a guaranteed 3 to 4 week turnaround, whereas last year, because we got a bit of a late start, we were significantly handicapped, and we were still getting results back in late December and early January, which kind of, on our end, we had a lot of really good results, but we kind of missed the peak season of the Golden Triangle stocks and being able to release our results in tandem with companies like GT Gold or GGI. So this year we'll be right in the middle of the fray with everybody else, and hopefully we can compete for Discovery of the Year in Golden Triangle.
Well, and a porphyry could do it, right? Those are they're monsters, and in the Golden Triangle, the hunt has been on, for them. And not a geological expert myself, but what I've heard about the connection between the epithermal systems and these, the bonanza gold, and then these porphyries driving them, it's the stuff the legend is made of, right?
That's right. And one of the things with the Hank is it's always been kind of quote unquote too small, right? So it's had a nice historic resource, multi-gram, 4.5 gram per ton resource, but it was never big enough to make sense there. So if we are tapping into the roots of the system, we could change that to it is big enough.
Exciting. Yeah. And these porphyries, right? It's, again, they may not have a lot of exposure at surface, but if they're going down to great extent, it's different dimensions, and they can be very large indeed.
Exactly. And a very simple analog that a lot of your listeners would know of would be something like New Afton in Kamloops. So New Gold has been mining New Afton deposit for many years, and that was after the original kind of open pit mine closed. And basically all New Afton is, it's about a 350 meter vertical breccia pipe that just continues, probably into the mantle, right? They're still going down and still finding new zones and still pulling out more ore. So hopefully that's our analog here, and we're on to something similar.
And maybe a wonky question here. I noticed a back-in-right for Barrick at 3 million ounces. Was that gold equivalent? If you were to find a porphyry here, would they be and say it was 2 million ounces gold, but a whole bunch of copper? Is there anything in the legal terms and stuff like that where they'd be able to back in?
So that's a really good question. It's not gold equivalent. It's actual ounces of gold, and it's a fairly standard Barrack-Bakken clause on a lot of these properties that they auction off. So
Thank you.
Barrack and their management, they're very happy so far what the work we've done. So they are also anxiously anticipating our drilling of the Williams Zone. Every year we have a meeting with Barrack. We run through all of the work we've done and our expenditures, and they kind of sign off. And last year was, well, not last year, but this February we had the meeting as we do every year, and it was a very good day's worth of meetings, and they're very excited and commended us for some good work done to date. So hopefully it culminates with a much larger discovery as we start pulling the core to the ground.
Yeah, a great area. I can understand why, you'd have a bunch of, well, goodwill with them and interest from other people too. Like with the red, I'm looking at the slide with the red line, the Khyber red line there. Interesting how it kind of just seems to, end off there. And then if there's not another little bit marked out with some Hazelton showing off on Evram's ground, I guess it is, kind of west of that Williams copper porphyry stuff. It just, I've never been up there. I don't really have a sense of what if it's as remote as, some people like to say this area of the world can be, but it just seems like it's an explorationist's playground to me.
It is, and one of the things with the Hank, like you can see in some of the slides in the PowerPoint, like the overview slide, is these huge orange-red Gaussons, or the Hank property option term slide. I should correct myself there. Is you fly over these hills and you see these huge Gaussons that stretch for kilometers.
Yeah.
And as an exploration geologist, it's very easy to fall into the trap of proceeding straight to the rusty rocks. You sample them. They are running. They have gold. They have silver. There is mineral there, and to kind of lose focus on the rest of the property because you're focused on maybe this distal showing, where really the more time we spend at the Hank, we're finding that the best opportunities, the best potential for mineralization is actually down in the valley in the trees. Right? Nice. In treed areas where there's no outcrop, there's no showings, and I'll direct your attention to the 2018 drill program, and we have our boiling zone target, which is my probably close second favorite target to the Williams zone, and it's a 500 meter diameter gold in soil target that has greater than 5 grams gold in soil. This is like GT gold numbers here, and it's never been drilled. There's never been a hole put in it. So that's our second biggest target for 2018.
Wow. Well, thank you. Yes, and I had wondered, right, is it how much potential do you see at the Hank? How much can you try and tackle this year? What does the future look like there? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so basically the Williams zone, like I said earlier, the drill's already sitting there as winterized on that pad, yellow dot in the Williams zone slide. The second drill is mobbing up there this week, right now, and it will start drilling the Kite zone and a boiling zone right away. So
wonderful.
Basically, in tandem, we'll be getting results back from both the Williams zone and the boiling zone or Kite zone, depending on where Wade Barnes, our PGO and our kind of head geo for the summer, decides to start.
That's wonderful. Thanks again for saying 2 drills. I might have missed that before. That's pretty aggressive there, Mike.
Well, you know what, Pete? I come from the philosophy of drill it or kill it. So you know what? we're going to drill it, and if there's something there, we're going to find it.
Yep.
And if there's not, we're going to move on and find something just as good, if not better. And you know, we're not going to get attached or you know, focus on a project that we shouldn't be focused on.
And
we have money, we have a lot of smarts, and we have a lot of opportunity here. So if things for some reason don't work out the Hank, we're more than capable of going and finding another project. And Eric's been so happy with the work we've done. Hopefully, we now have access to a lot of other projects that have been kind of squirreled away in perpetuity in their back office there.
Yep. Good for you. Very important to have access in that way. And I wonder, field regional kind of programs this year at the Hank. You mentioned the 2 drills going. Is there scope for additional soils, additional, you know, ground geophysics, prospecting work of any kind, really kind of across the property?
So basically what we have, like on the lower alteration zone, we have over 2 kilometers of strike length of mineralized epithermal showings at surface.
Yeah.
So from last year's drilling, we have a 1.1 kilometer gap to fill in between the kite zone and the boiling zone target. Okay, so there's going to be a lot of opportunity for us to get out there, fill that in. We're going to be doing some remapping. You know, I wasn't necessarily thrilled with the work that LAC did back in the 80s was great, but their geologic model didn't really make sense with the rocks we were seeing in our 2017 drill program. So we've kind of reworked it, and we kind of basically proved their model wrong last year. So we put forth a new model that your listeners can refer to in our earlier press releases from this year, and we're testing that this year. So we might do a bit of IP around the kite zone, extend our IP from 2016. But again, we have more than enough targets to go out and drill, sample, map. It'll keep us very, very busy over the next 3 or 4 months.
Well, and mapping, though, I'm very grateful to hear you say mapping, because it seems like the thing that people never really care to, often gets disregarded or overlooked or taken for granted, but you know, is everything. Very, very important, right? And Barrick, I think, will appreciate you going back to first principles and rebuilding things up there, regardless of what happens in the future, right? Just showing them, hey, we're gonna do the work the right way, guys. Slow down and all that. Thank you. Yeah, very glad to hear that.
Yeah, and you know what? It's always good to check people's work. You know, I know everybody's out there working in their best intentions, but sometimes when you drill a different area, you get new information. It makes sense to go back and check out the old info that people took, you know, verbatim, that you know, may have changed when you have that new information, right? So it's not necessarily that people were wrong, or they just you know, put together the best explanation for the data they had. The more data we have, the more accurately we're going to have that right explanation.
And the Silica Center paleo surface question mark I see on one of the slides there. I know the sinters get some people very excited, associated with parts of high sulfidation, maybe low sulfidation, I don't know which. Gets some of the geos in a tizzy as far as I can tell. So, you know, getting out there and doing some close mapping of all of that stuff is, hey, that's great.
Yes, and the neat thing is we had Jim Oliver. He did a play study on this project.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
For those of you that know, Jim Oliver is one of the more accomplished geologists in British Columbia and Western Canada, maybe even in Canada. And basically, what his results showed after him spending, you know, several days taking hundreds of samples and analyzing clay is that we're too high where the historic resource is.
Yep.
it's the wrong type of clay. It's too high in the system. It's not in the boiling zone where you get your bonanza gold and your high grade gold, which we've now identified via soil samples, that boiling zone target. That's funny enough in the forest undercover, so there's no big red orange gossamer directing you to drill it. So for us, you know, you got the right clays, you got the right geochemistry, you have the right geophysics. So, you know, we could be on to another major discovery.
Yeah, thank you for that too. The elevation and the valleys, the simple tie together there. I'm sure it's more complicated than that, but that, you know, is something at least I can kind of hang on to and remember there. That makes sense.
Yeah, and Southside Hill is that large orange hill that's in all of our slides, and people are just like, holy, look at that thing. And it
Yeah.
was always kind of postulated that Southside Hill was actually this massive breccia pipe. It was big breccia occurrence, and that's kind of what brought in all the mineralization, and then it went through these permeable layers and lower alteration zone and upper alteration zone, and mineralize these more permeable layers. But really, after doing more work and looking at Southside Hill closer, it turned out not to be brecciated at all. It was just more of a fragmented volcanic unit. So, you know, like I said before, it pays to take a second look and
Yeah.
to critically analyze and react to data that you know, people have taken as kind of gospel for the last 30 years.
Yeah. And that's the Felsite Hill, the pit zone below that, the boiling zone target below that, and then all the way down to the Hank Creek target there. And
Correct.
wonderful.
Yeah, and the pit zone, just for your listeners, that's where the historic resource is. It's in the pit zone. So there's these they look like pits, these depressions in the earth that you have this beautiful coliform banded quartz, carbonate veins, and all this beautiful looking rock, but you don't see it anywhere else on the property. So, you know, we're thinking that a lot of it's undercover, hopefully, in this, you know, not heavily forested, but vegetated area below the pit zone.
Yeah. Well, and the soils that you mentioned in the boiling zone, was that known at the time when the resource on the pit zone was done, or is that kind of a new discovery for you guys there with those soils?
So yeah, those soils, there were some soil lines, and there's always been really good chip and channel samples from the creeks below the pit zone. But,
Great.
it just really wasn't ever followed up on. And when we were on this property first in 2015, we filled in all the soil lines there, and that kind of allowed us to make that polygon or that kind of weird looking circle to make up the boiling zone, was kind of filling in on the previous soils that have been done. So, you know, the geochemistry and the geophysics to date has been very valuable, kind of, I guess, focusing our attention away from, you know, this huge multi-kilometer long gossamer that lays on a property.
Ah, and that's it. Yeah, that makes sense of how hard it is to not focus on that thing that's drawing the geologist's eyes, right? Because, you know,
Yeah.
when would they have ever been over to the wooded area at the Williams zone and seen the copper, gold, porphyry potential there? Okay, thank you. Yep.
It's not fun to walk through the forest. There's mosquitoes and bugs. You want to be out on the Gossan. It's windy. It's beautiful. You have all this mineralized rock around you. As a geologist, you know, you want to be center of the action, and everyone thought the action was on the Gossan, right? So.
And a busy summer season ahead, and then mention of a fall 2018 program at the Royale.
Yes, that's correct. So Royale's a project that we acquired here over the winter. We're precious metals focused, obviously, with the name like Golden Ridge Resources. Also, you know, we had a few different regions we were very focused on, and we spent a lot of work looking at projects. So one was Newfoundland, really like Newfoundland. Two was British Columbia. We also really like British Columbia since we live here. We're very close and in touch with everything that happens in British Columbia. And three was kind of in the Pacific Northwest down into Nevada in the United States. So we looked at, over 50 projects from those areas, and Royale for us, in terms of the cost, it'll be probably the cheapest cost for us to do exploration work because we'll be heli access, we'll be right on the main lines, and the opportunity and spending a lot of time looking at Braylorn, the Pioneer mines, understanding how those systems work. We feel that Royale could be very similar to those other two mines. Just the valley, it goes undercover there, so you're still getting the same splays and the same kind of structural occurrences that created these mines. But again, they're just not sitting at surface. They've just kind of gone under the cover of the valley from the erosion of the surrounding hillside. So we're excited to go out there and spend $250,000 to $500,000 and give this target a really, really, really good test, right? I feel that the geophysics that's been done, and we have more detailed geophysics than what I have in this PowerPoint that we're currently reviewing. We'll fairly reasonably be able to test it. And the thing that kind of drew us to this project is all up in the hills above kind of the Cadwalder Break, which is kind of down in the valley. Yep. Is you see all these different deposits. There's numerous min files on the Royale property, and they're all smoke, right? You have these gold-rich skarns. You have these other type of gold, the kind of mesothermal vein targets, all these other things, and they're all loaded with gold and precious metals. But everything kind of vectors down towards the valley and these splays off of the main fault, similar to what you see at Pioneer and Braylorn. So
yeah,
and it is just one more thing. It still is British Columbia's largest gold producing region ever to this day.
Wow. Yeah. Well, in the Braylorn, we need another one, don't we, in BC, right? And
we sure do.
Or to keep pushing that one and go deeper, Avino and everything right there. But no, everything that you're saying about all the min file occurrences in the area too, poring over that and trying to find what somebody else might have missed or overlooked. Has that property been kind of worked up in a public company at all in the last 10 years, say?
It has, and funny enough, Charlie Gregg did a lot of the initial work on the Royale property, and he really, really liked it. He's always really had a connection with that property. And for your listeners who don't know, Charlie Gregg is obviously GT Gold's geologist who made the big discovery at Saddle last year. And he's really liked this project. Unfortunately, the companies that have had the Royale property in the past, they didn't have the, I'm looking for the right word, audacity to go down and test these kind of splay structures in the valley bottom. They drilled up near where the smoke was up in the hills, where you're too high up in the hills. So luckily we have a young and courageous and hungry staff, including myself, and if we can zero in and get the right drill targets, you know what, we're going to go down and we're going to test in the valley. And like I said earlier, we're in the drill it and kill it business. So we're going to go and we're going to try and find the best target with the greatest amount of upside and the lowest amount of risk for our shareholders. We're going to drill it.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. Well, and great to hear the repetition of that idea of coming down into the valleys where, you know, people may not have looked or drilled certainly as much in the past, and doing it for good reason, you know, being careful about it. Um, because, you know, then you're looking at areas that have never been drilled, right? In in these areas with, you know, known resources and all kinds of old occurrences, and uh, alterations showing its surface for kilometers and kilometers, and you've managed to find a new pocket of ground there that's, you know, makes sense geologically, but hasn't ever been drilled before. uh, you know, good for you guys, right? That's great.
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of how, exploration, the paradigm's going to have to shift as we move forward over the next 10, 20, 30 years. Is we've heard this so many times, all the easy stuff's been found, right? Everything on the top of a mountain or exposed its surface that people have walked over, we've probably found the majority of that stuff, right? The chances of you and I staking a property and going out and walking it and stumbling upon a new mine are slim to none, right? But starting to, look at these really good areas, staying in the shadow of the head frame, right, as we like to say, and using different techniques to kind of look in areas that, have more cover, things like that. I think this is going to be the next kind of, big kind of discovery train that people and exploration geologists are going to have to adjust and focus on.
Yeah, great to hear that vision from you too. And I see you've optioned something to Fireweed Zinc as well, in March 2018, and it looks like that was something that you acquired, that was adjacent to the Tom and Jason deposit that Fireweed has there. They're working on.
Yeah, that's right. So Golden Ridge was a private company before it was a public company. So it was formed in 2011 by Larry Nagy, and a couple of his counterparts. And basically, they had a number of properties come in and out of Golden Ridge as a private company before they got the Hank. They had some stuff in the States, they had some stuff in the Yukon, they had some stuff in Newfoundland. And one of the properties that stuck since 2011 was North Canal, which kind of surrounded the Tom and Jason. Funny enough, they originally staked this project. They were looking for Carlin-type gold deposits. But, it's come full circle. Brandon McDonald and the guys who are at Fireweed Zinc, they've been doing a phenomenal job kind of bringing the Tom and Jason back to life here. And this ground is adjacent to Tom and Jason. It is a high potential exploration target for themselves, and for us, being a precious metals focused company, lead, zinc, silver, way up in the Mac Pass area really didn't fit kind of our goals and our visions. So there was a deal to be done there.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, Peter, I'm not sure if you know, we also sold a 2% NSR royalty to Cobalt 27 on this project as well.
I saw that. That seemed like a smart little
Cobalt
carve out
only.
there.
I don't mind having equity in multi-dollar stocks. It's a good place for us and our shareholders, and I think being a junior and being as aggressive as we are, the extra equity and the extra cash helps us.
Yep. And we'll be able to watch those 450,000 shares over your financials, your quarterlies there, to see if that is dripped out, or if you sell it all in one go, depending, there's all kinds of things there for you.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that Fireweed Zinc and the team over there, I hope they turn the Tom and Jason into a mine. It's a great project. They have some hurdles to overcome logistically, but if they can surmount those, it could be a really, really good project. And the way zinc and the lead price keep going, who knows? it could be a multi-dollar stock very soon.
Well, and whether or not you choose to sell those shares in the market or not may become moot if there's some kind of a forced liquidity event there with a takeover. Who knows what could happen here? You mentioned
Only time will tell.
logistical challenges. Can I just pick up on that and ask about you guys and the plans? You say the next 5 to 7 days here, right? So any details on the team, how much is in-house versus how much is contracted out?
Yeah, so basically we'll have about a 20-person camp. Well, we do have a 20-person camp that's just being finished construction at the garage. So outside of our drill contractors, geologists are all in-house, and then we've hired locally through the Taltan, which is our First Nation partners up there, and the surrounding communities for camp manager, geotechs, core cutters, things like that. So we try and keep everything in-house. We're not using a geologic firm or engineering firm or anything like that. It's all people that we trust and we work with on a day-to-day basis in the office. So everyone that's up there knows the project intimately, and nothing's going to be overlooked.
And this will be your second year drilling there.
Correct. So the first year was a lot of learning, a lot of kind of scratching our head, saying, you know what, this model that Lack had and Barrick had, it doesn't make any sense for the results we're getting. Thinking that maybe we did something wrong, but really now we're starting to put all the pieces together. We had the whole winter to go back, reflect, look at all the old data again, combine it with the new data. So this is really, I feel like, our maiden year is this year.
Yeah.
Because last year we were just kind of, out there drilling off a model that wasn't necessarily correct. And this year we finally feel like, okay, if we're going to find something, it's probably going to be in these locations, at these depths, and it's going to look like this. So now we get to go and use the truth machine and prove that that's the case or not.
And only $100,000, work commitment this year to be at 100%. It's a great timeline there for your earning. You're there.
Yeah, so we tried really hard to knock that off last year, but we got pushed out in October, late October, middle October by weather, and we just couldn't keep going. It was we walk a very fine line up in the Golden Triangle. So to try and be the lowest cost explorer up there, we constantly have to monitor the weather, safety, a number of variables, whereas, other companies up there, they might keep pushing and keep trying to drill, late into the winter, where, it might be $1,000 a meter or $1,500 a meter, but they don't care because they're pushing, right? And I'm not going to name any names of any companies because we're all partners up there, but, we don't try and fight Mother Nature and things that we can't, surmount. So yeah, I would have liked to made the 100% last year, but we're going to make it probably by the end of next week this year. So it's all good.
Well, and it's for the new, there's a whole bunch of new eyeballs, I'm sure, this year looking at the space, right? And for you to be able to come out and say, hey, guys, look, all this stuff, it's that's it. May again, it's maybe in the end you'll be grateful that it played out the way it did. Whatever, there were other delays you mentioned before as well last year, right? Getting assays back and stuff. It's
even our listing, even going public, like we didn't actually go public till October 17th. We were supposed to be public in August, but we actually had it was actually very fortunate we had GT Gold hit, several, the Saddle. They made a large discovery there last year in the Golden Triangle, probably their discovery of the year last year. And we had a flood more of capital that came in on our RTO placement, and that kind of put us back a couple months with the exchange, which, you don't normally get your money until you're trading. It comes out of escrow at that point. So August and September were a couple of tense months with our contractors having a lot of faith in us, and
Wow.
they're all back this year, and they're excited as we are to make a big discovery.
And so you were trying this work program last year that we were just discussing. You were doing that as you were private with plans of going public in August here. What?
Correct. Yeah, and I had to finance it, and a few of our board members, we had to basically pony up the cash until it was released from escrow and we came public, and that's how much we believe in this project.
Yes, and that's it, right? It's a very powerful statement of putting your own wallet, your money where your mouth is there.
You got it.
Wow. And wow, thank you very much. Is there anything else that we might have missed? I've looked closely at your deck here. Thank you. It's very well done.
I guess the only thing is surrounding us is Antofagasta and Evrim Resources. They're looking very much for a similar target like the Williams Zone. We've talked to them a lot once we've kind of put out our press release on the Williams Zone, and to get the ire and the questions and discussion going with the Anto and Evrim, and to see that they really are interested in what we're doing and how they can find a similar sort of target on their property, I think speaks both for the Williams Zone and the potential that it has.
And I notice it is not far from the border there, so they may do well to pay attention. I'm sure they'll be watching with interest that property they have there. That's a large one as well.
It is, and they have the Ball Creek porphyry targets, so I'd expect them to focus some of their exploration very close to our property boundaries this summer.
Wonderful. And maybe share count and warrant information. I see 70 million, 73 million ballpark, and just over 20 million warrants out. Are those all in one chunk?
So the warrants are in several different tranches. So we have some that are expiring at the end of the year, this year in November. They're all at 25 cents. Okay. So I think that there's a good potential if we do have some success, the stock can easily double before we get some pressure from warrant exercises. But with that being said, there's about 3-4 million that I believe are getting canceled later this year, and then the rest in 2019 and 2020.
Yep. And any acceleration conditions on any of those?
No, there's no acceleration conditions, but I think if we have success, I think people will definitely want more stock in this deal. So I don't see any issues with some big exercise.
Yeah. Well, and again, your success being able to get the show on the road as a private company, and keep it going in the transition to, becoming public and all that stuff. It all speaks to your ability to continue to be able to raise capital and execute. Wonderful. First time I've had the chance to really have an interview with you here, Mike. I appreciate it very much.
Peter, thanks for the time. Thank you for the interest, and I look forward to chatting with you very soon. to update you and your listeners on our 2018 program.
Thank you. And sorry, but you said 5 to 7 days you were thinking for until the drills are turning. And did we have a sense for how long that first program the Williams might take, and timelines on all the other things there too? I know there's some people who get me in the comments if I don't try and press you for timeline as well there just at the very end.
Really good question. So the Williams zone we're anticipating will be thick rock as opposed to drilling the kind of clay altered Hank areas, lower alteration, upper alteration zone. So we're anticipating better recoveries, quicker drilling than we had last year. Because we're starting in mineralization at the surface, I would hope and I would anticipate that each tube of core we're pulling up remains in that mineralized zone. So could be quicker than you would think.
Yep. And specifically with regards to the photographs and everything else, as we discussed before there too. So thank you.
Yeah, and with that, obviously our geologic team will need to get the core back to camp. They'll need to cut it. They'll need to properly log it, photograph it, sample it, and then we'll look at putting out some preliminary results, hopefully.
Exciting times. Mike Blady, Golden Ridge Resources, GLDN on the venture. Thanks very much for talking with me, Mike.
Thanks again. Have a good day.
You too. Goodbye.